All right, how's it going, guys? Hopefully you can see this screen right now. Let me know. Okay, I think it should be on, but you guys will have to let me know once we get a few viewers rolling in here. We're gonna take a look at a lot of things as we head into October, and as well as I'll answer any questions that you guys might have about any time frame. But for the most part, we're gonna be looking at the early portion of October because I haven't really touched on, more of a. I guess I'm even more long range than I would like to be as far as like what I typically do in monthly and seasonal forecasts. I would like to kind of break down weekly and more mesoscale type systems. That's what the meteorological term for it would be on the scale system. It's really interesting. You should check it out. What would it be called? Let me see. I can read it right here if I can find it. Just reading about it the other day in a book by Tim Vasquez. I recommend all of his stuff, all of his books, if you really want to take your knowledge to the next level of weather as far as like amateur goes. Amateur knowledge of weather. I would certainly recommend his books. Great reads. It'll make your brain steam a little bit when it gets into the physics and everything. But yeah, okay, I'm going to go check the comments. You guys are probably talking on there. I just haven't looked yet. So I have to pull it up on my phone so that I don't have to keep pulling it up on this screen. All right. Actually, I think my Wi-Fi is off. Never mind. Okay, cool. Cool. If you guys have any questions, make sure to let me know. Hey, Patrick Speedling, how's it going? If you guys have any suggestions on what you want me to talk about or any questions, certainly let me know. I'd like to certainly cover what you guys want me to here, but I'm going to, for the most part, break down, like I said, the early portion of October is my goal. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure to subscribe. I do live streams like this and also seasonal forecasts and monthly forecasts. I'd like to, like I said, break down more storms and everything. Hey, Mimi Melody. Patrick Speedling, thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for viewing what I do. I wouldn't have the willpower to do it if I had no viewers, so it's certainly thanks to you guys. I have a lot of people who watch my videos, and I'm very fortunate. It hasn't always been that way, so I'm very glad that I get thousands of views and everything. And even, the 30 to 70 viewers on my live streams, I guess that's the people who are really, really interested in weather, who sit through these live streams with me. Any hurricane chances for Florida? Well, there's always a chance of hurricanes for Florida, of course, this time of year. Through November, we won't really limit that risk. It's always there. Okay, we will look at the Atlantic real quick. And I'll walk through all the comments as I go, as I get questions. So feel free to keep asking questions. I'll eventually get to it. I'm not going to stop this live stream most likely until I've literally answered everybody's questions and it's kind of fizzled out. I would like to keep it interesting for reviewability on YouTube because these do get uploaded to YouTube afterwards. So I'd like to keep it interesting, but for the most part, I'm going to keep going. Now, here is our tropical storm and soon to be hurricane, most likely here in the Atlantic. It's not going to cause any problems. I forgot the name though, as I will real quick check that out. I think Leslie. Yeah, Leslie. Okay, so tropical storm Leslie out in the Atlantic, just kind of hovering. As that's going to go out to sea, it's going to get caught by the ridge here, the trough, and it's going to get pulled in. See? And kind of make its way back into I guess, Europe. Eventually hit Scotland, maybe. Very interesting. But not very much of a threat there for the United States. It's kind of going to just chill out, hover around. And you see we have this extreme ridging in the eastern United States. This is going to be very dangerous for Florida, actually, in the Gulf states, as this would really tend to pull things into the Gulf, though things aren't really looking to be active. That's the main problem. You see not a lot of waves coming off of Africa that try to do anything. Maybe we have something start to spark up right there. See, we have something trying to hit Haiti and Dominican Republic right here. It doesn't look to do much, and maybe a system in the Gulf. This is really what turns into this, though. But things will certainly change this far out, and there will be systems that aren't what these are most likely. There will be new systems and everything. So if you're a new viewer, make sure to ask questions if you want to. If you haven't subscribed already, I recommend it if you enjoy weather type content. But no, I think to answer your question, Arindam Gupta, it really looks like Florida is going to be, for at least the next week, going to be pretty safe. And then beyond that, it looks like they will be safe, but you don't really have much certainty there that far out. But I think if you looked at my hurricane forecast, I'm calling for below average tropical activity. Already there's kind of average tropical storms, so that'll most likely bust. But I think that major hurricanes I'll most likely be correct, as we've only had one major hurricane, and typically September is when you get most of those major hurricanes, and things seem to be slowing down. So I wasn't completely wrong there on that forecast. Most people thought that since the hurricane hit the East Coast, that meant that I was wrong since a hurricane hit the East Coast, but really I was just calling for below average systems. That doesn't mean one of them won't hit the East Coast. Hope that clears that up. Hello, Tim B. Hello, everybody. Snickerdoodle. Patrick Speeding great. Duluth, Minnesota next week. Snow. Okay, Duluth, Minnesota. We're going to look. I don't really know where Duluth is, but we're just going to cover all of Minnesota here and take a look at your snow chances. The answer is yes, that there is chance for snow. I already can tell you that much, but we're going to break it down. I wish there was a view in between these two. Well, we'll do the whole United States for now. So according to the GFS here, really you're looking at your chance beyond, well, here's tomorrow. I mean, a lot of rain there, and then heading into next week, things really get snowy all over the place, and I really think that this could technically pull down further. If you're in northern Minnesota, there's certainly a good chance that you'll receive snow. But for the Dakotas and Montana and Minnesota, from this point on, I think there's a really good chance of snow for the next couple weeks at least. As you see, this is calling for a pretty solid snowstorm here through the Dakotas, and it looks like Wyoming and Montana at least, parts of Idaho and Colorado also involved. So we'll have to eyeball that one. But yeah, beyond that, a lot of uncertainty. But to that point, looks like we could have snow in that area. So the answer is that it's possible, but not certainly. First snow in Connecticut. Yeah, I think probably gonna see late October, early November for your first snow in Connecticut. What do you think the thumb of Michigan's winter? Thumb of Michigan. I think you're going to have a very cold winter. Polar vortex is making a frequent visit. If you want to know more after this live stream, once you're off of this, you can check out my winter forecast. You'll be able to see a better breakdown of the whole winter forecast, because I can't get into the whole thing, but you would be able to check that out. Don't certainly have all the answers. This year has been slow activity for Florida. Yeah, certainly has. Is some rain going to arrive in Los Angeles? Yeah, I think things are going to get a lot more moist as we see this tropical depression move through, and then subtropical depression. It's going to move through the Four Corner states, and that'll bring chances for moisture for Los Angeles, certainly more chance than you've had at least. But after that, it looks pretty dry. How is the hurricane in the Pacific going to affect Southern California? Well, there's your answer for that one, too. Will Southern Pennsylvania finally be getting a severe blizzard? I can't really say if there will be a severe blizzard or not or anything like that, but I think that your chance for some big snowstorms is above average this year. So hopefully that answers your question. Is it going to snow next week in Duluth, Minnesota? I already answered that. You have good weather predictions. Thank you, Robert Harrington. You think there will be snow in New Jersey area, and if so, a lot of or a little? Um, I would go with above average snowfall, but we will see. Another slow year for rainfall or snowfall as another tropical storm getting closer here in the next day or so. 2.6 inches of rain. Is that Southern California? Let's see. Why is it so weird that we getting a hurricane in the Southwest, Rosa? How many times did that happen? You know, it's happened before. It's not really common, and it really does shake up the whole pattern. But it's certainly not impossible. It's not as crazy as you'd think. These tropical systems can go wherever they want. That's what you have to keep in the back of your head. There's no limits to where they can or can't go, really. So they have a mind of their own. So when you see something like that, or when they hit Hawaii, it's not too crazy. Let's see. Is it a major hurricane in Connecticut? Don't know what that question means, but I don't think there will be a major hurricane in Connecticut. Is the weather going to get cooler in California? Yeah, you're going to get probably starting in about a week. You're going to receive colder temperatures there in Southern California, mostly coastal California, but yeah, certainly for a while here, you're going to be getting below average temperatures, pretty far below average at that even, as things start to warm up by the 15th of October, though. So for the early portion, you will be having below average October starting here pretty soon. Let's see. Yeah, you should see the pattern start to be like off and on and then really just cold after that point. Lake Superior. I think all of the Great Lakes will have above average snow this year, if that's what you're asking. What is the winter forecast for Missouri? I think cold, pretty cold, and average precipitation. Kind of relevant to 12 Zulu in the morning or nighttime. Yeah, that is what it is. So 12 Z is 12 Zulu time. 0 is 12 a.m. Zulu time. 12, if that makes any sense. Hey, people, hit like. I was born and raised in Florida, stayed for 39 years. We moved to North Carolina in May. I will forever be plagued by hurricanes, LOL, hoping for a cold fall and winter. Thanks for doing what you do. Yeah, I think it's possible. Should have slightly below average temperatures with above average precipitation, and hopefully you'll dodge those tropical storms this year, Carrie. Hi, my birthday is on October 14th. Oh, that's cool. Happy birthday. I went through several strong hurricanes growing up and living there most of my life. Does this crazy weather this year has anything to do with climate change? Well, I'm not really going to get into that. The weather's always crazy. It's always changing, and because it's kind of like the weather changes based on different weather changes and water temperatures and everything. So I'm not really going to get into climate change at all, but I don't think there's a solid answer that would conclude that question at all. It would all be opinion. How will Kentucky fare this winter? I think that Kentucky will be below average temperatures with above average precipitation. Is the Northwest going to receive a lot of snow this year? I'm planning to go to Idaho this winter. Well, the answer to your question is that if you're in Idaho, you're always going to get a lot of snow, especially if you're in the mountains. But I think that there will be below average snow, but that doesn't mean there won't be snow. With the major troughing from the Euro to the JMS for winter, if that were to continue, the Southeast could get a record-breaking year. Yeah, I think that this year, if you haven't heard me say this already, I know I've said this like a million times in my other videos. The year this year reminds me of is 2014 to 2015, which did have a lot of cold in those parts and a lot of snow in the South as well. I think that we will have a named storm very soon. Do you agree? Are you talking about snowstorms or hurricanes? That's the real question there. If anybody else has any weather-related questions or anything, as I'm sure a lot of my old viewers have left and new viewers have begun to roll in. Let me know and I'll answer all of those. I'm going through all the comments here, just all questions. If you want to ask questions about the forecast of October or anything like that, you can let me know. We had snow twice in the Florida Panhandle in about a week of freezing temperatures last winter. Yeah, you guys got a crazy winter last year for as far as like how it normally is. Usually that would not happen, but it's very weird. Portions of coastal Texas also got a lot of snow. And it was early too. I think it was December, wasn't it? Or was it early January? I prefer cold temperatures. When will the first nor'easter hit? You know, there's not really like a way to tell for sure. I think, let's see. I would say it's not going to happen before the 15th of October, at least. That's all I can say for sure. As you see, this high pressure system is going to block anything from taking the south track. So at least until the 16th. What do you think for the Gulf Coast? Are you asking for winter or hurricanes? Oh, December and January. I think that it will be quite chilly and very wet. Okay, I think that we will have a named storm very soon. Do you agree? Winter storm. Let's see. I think that this one right here, if this pans out, would be the first winter storm. You see a lot of areas receiving above 12 inches on the mountains tops and really just widespread snow throughout the Dakotas, Wyoming, Colorado. Yeah, they would have to name this one for sure, especially with 6 inches plus in a lot of these areas. I've seen a lot weaker get named. Let me put it that way. Same here. Every hurricane since 1979, Andrew and Wilma were the worst for me. Is Halloween going to be nice in the U.S.? Can't really tell that far out at all. Winter on Gulf. Already covered that. Gloria was the worst in my adult life. Trees were crashing down. I told my kids it was the doghouse blowing around. Look at on the CMC model on snowfall totals. Yeah, I don't really like the CMC, but we'll take a look. We'll go out to here. Wow, so 24 inches plus for these areas. Take this with a grain of salt, guys, because CMC is not a very reliable model compared to the GFS, though the GFS isn't very reliable itself. This would be October 9th, getting all that snow. This would be named, most certainly be named. What is your opinion on the NAO for this winter? Yeah, so the NAO this winter, I'm concerned about it for sure. It doesn't look very negative. But it's, again, that's one of those things that's like a very short range oscillation, so it would really just depend. Yeah, can't really put an answer on that. I'm concerned about it though. It doesn't look as definitive as I'd like it to. I also feel that way about the PDO as well though. What do you think for the Great Lakes, Michigan for this winter, 2018 and 2019? Will there be a lot of snow? I think that all the Great Lakes will have above average snowfall. Hey, how are you? I watched your winter forecast and I'm a little bit confused about North Jersey. Hey, Mike, which winter forecast, and let me know what you're confused about and I hope I can clear it up. When will the Twin Cities receive its first snowfall? I think, well, yes, the CMC. It would say it's close to possible around the 10th, but I think that certainly after the 15th, it's going to be the best answer I can give. Right after this trough, this blue line, It's going to dig south. That one might just be enough to pull a snowstorm into the Twin Cities. What about South Central Kentucky? Any severe weather, major cooldowns in the near future? Yeah, so I think that after the 15th, you're going to see a pattern change. It's going to bring the heart of the cold right around Kentucky or just north of it. So what about, okay, any severe weather? As far as severe weather, can't really put, that's a lot more mesoscale than anything else, so that would have to be forecasted a few days out. Been hearing a lot about Mordecai El Nino. Does this still look like we will have one, and does it really mean the temps will be colder in the east? So a Mordecai El Nino is, let me see if I can draw here. You'll have to let me know if this freezes it up, guys. Hopefully it doesn't. Sometimes this would. So a Mordecai El Nino would be, so I try to get a better color here, probably black will be the most visible. A Mordecai El Nino, well, let's start with a typical El Nino. A typical El Nino would have the warmest temperatures here with some warm temperatures here, but really the heart of the warmth is in the right circle. Now I can see that it's working. That's good. The Mordecai El Nino would really, it depends if we're talking true or just like what we call a Mordecai El Nino. A true Mordecai El Nino would be like warmer temperatures over here and then below normal temperatures here. That would be what I'd call a true Mordecai El Nino. And there's been so many variables here of a Mordecai El Nino that we don't really, when we throw that definition out there, it's really a broad term. But this is what I'd consider a true Mordecai El Nino. And these really do tend to bring colder winters to the east time and time again. Now, I think that the El Nino affects a lot less temperature than people think, and it affects the precipitation a lot more. But so just take it with a grain of salt. Now, what we're calling a Mordecai El Nino, as of recently, is warm temperatures throughout the entire region, with the heart of the warmth being away from the coast of Ecuador over here. The heart of the warm being in this area. Now, depending on how strong this is, it could bring a cold winter for the east, and it typically would. So, like, if this was a weak El Nino with this setup, you typically do see a colder winter in the east. If it's really warm, you see something more like 2015 to 2016, where it's really just warm in the entire United States, and you can't really catch a break. So it really just depends on that. I hope that really answered a lot of you guys' questions about Mordecai El Ninos. I know it's confusing if you haven't, learned a lot about it. Will there be snow for the UK this year? Unfortunately, I do not forecast for the UK. But Storm Chaser UK, maybe you could. What will Atlanta receive? I think Atlanta could receive a 2 to 4 inch snowstorm this year. I have a gut feeling. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I think probably right around the middle late portion of October. You've seen a lot of close calls with the snow being in the Dakotas and everything, so it's getting pretty close. Your recent forecasts, the one from a couple days ago, I was just looking and I saw that New Jersey was split into two and didn't know if the forecast lines would move. Okay, so you're saying that in between blizzards and a few snowstorms, I think that New Jersey could see a blizzard or something like that, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at just above average snowfall. That's really what to take away from it. Will Chicago remain rainy today until next week? Good question. Well, it looks like you're going to have frequent rainstorms kind of coming in. I don't really see the rain letting up. It looks like until about the 15th of October, so it could be pretty rainy for a while there, unfortunately. Why is it that Pittsburgh, PA always manages to get little snow during storms and blizzards? So the interesting thing about the geography of Pittsburgh, and I'm trying to this is what I think, but it might not be very factual. Is it's kind of a bowl shape. You live there, so you know the mountains surround the whole city, and it's kind of a bowl. I mean, the history of Pittsburgh, they had to have tunnels that go into it to get in and out. It's literally a bowl. I think that really holds the precipitation outside of the bowl, and that those mountains really just block a lot of the precipitation out. But you realize or you notice that a lot of areas surrounding Pittsburgh do end up getting pretty good snow, especially south in Maryland and Virginia, just southeast, tend to get bullseyed, especially if we're talking about the blizzard a few years back. Has the stationary front along the Mason-Dixon line finally gone away? It was wobbling north and south all summer. Yeah, that's quite typical. As we head into fall, those will kind of head south a little bit, but it really just depends on what the battle of temperatures and everything. Thank you for answering my question. When will the thumb of Michigan see first snow? Sorry if you answered the question already. I was gone for a few minutes. Yeah, I think the thumb of Minnesota, if we're talking about the same thing, you're pretty close to when it's going to happen. So just hang in there. Probably by the 15th, you will see your first snow. Not snowstorm, but probably snowflakes. Rainiest September on Texas Gulf Coast I can remember in a long time. That's crazy. What about Eastern Tennessee? Could we have a snowy winter? Eastern Tennessee, I think that if we're talking about the mountains like Gatlinburg, that type of area, I think that you could, especially with the precipitation coming in and the slightly below average temperatures, the mountains could really get a lot of snow this year. Very similar to a year I remember a few years back. I don't remember which one it was, though. What do you think of New Jersey this year? Central, East Jersey, and specific. Are you talking about winter? Yay, thank you. Oh, thank you. Average seasonal snowfall for me is 25 to 30 inches. I'm personally predicting 50 to 60. Do you think that's too much? Yeah, that might be a bit much. I think that if you average 25 to 30, you could expect 35 inches. Anything more than that, you just have to consider yourself lucky if that's what you want to happen. So when do you think the first snow will start in fall in the New Jersey and NY area? I think that the Tug Hill this month could see its first snow, but outside of that, I think that you're going to have to wait till November at least. Except for maybe northern New York. Pittsburgh is pretty cool and everything. I was there about 2 weeks ago and checked the elevation when I was there. It was between 1,000 and 1,100. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. I love it there. How cold will Columbus Day weekend? I don't really know. I'll have to check my calendar, see when that actually is. Okay, cool. So October 8th. So 13th, wait. The 6th through 8th. As the GFS is all screwed up for some reason. Weird. Okay. 6th through 8th. It really just depends what you're talking about. For sure. But the east will be warm and the west will be very cold. That's the answer. Thank you. We're due for a major snowstorm or ice storm. Haven't really had any significant weather here for the past few years. A good portion of mid Minnesota got snow Friday night. Yeah, a lot of areas in the Dakotas and Minnesota did get snow. Also, do you think that New Jersey and New York will be hit by a hurricane in October, November? Because this is the time we normally would get hit. Well, normally you wouldn't get hit. That's the true answer. I think that there won't be a hurricane to hit New Jersey and New York, so I can't really answer that question. You think Texas is going to get snow? It depends where, for sure. What are your thoughts for the fall and winter weather in Tennessee? I think that you're going to see through the fall, through October 15th, it's going to be pretty warm, and then heading towards November, it's going to start to get cool downs and warm ups, and then really going to in November see that cool down, and then December could be quite mild in the later half, especially. But I think that overall the winter is going to be colder. Someone lives within 6 miles or so from a lake in Kentucky and up. Is it true that you will get a lot of snow? I don't really know. Very, very hilly in Pittsburgh, yes. When will temperatures drop in the east? That's a good question. Basically, when will the pattern flip? That's really what you're asking. I think that, like you can see here, it's really going to be warm for a very long time, and then it's just going to start to eat away at that ridge. And you can see right here, New England's already cooled down by the 14th, and then warmed up and then cooled down. If we look at an ensemble model, we'll get a more solid answer, but it's really going to start to flip right around the 15th. I know that that's like a date where it's like right in the middle, so you guys probably think that I'm just saying that as like a reference point, but I think that that's really the date. I think that really is the date when it starts to happen. As we look at the CFS, my least favorite model, you will see that it really just turns more mild and then colder, and then we're in the November. So we'll talk about November once we're there. Obviously, it's a bit further out. If you're new to this live stream, feel free to ask questions about the weather and everything, the long range, short range, whatever it might be, or about any of my forecasts. I'm glad to answer them for you. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I do live streams like this, and I also like to do seasonal and monthly forecasts, as well as forecasting storms as they begin to happen. It's still very warm here. Yeah, it's going to be warm for quite a while in the east. So don't expect that to change until, like I said, the 15th or so. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Is really what I wanted this video to be about was the heading into October. Now, with the September forecast, I want to take a look at that actually. This is something that I wanted to mention because a lot of people were very quick to call my forecast wrong, too early even. They were very quick to call my September forecast wrong because in the first half of the month, the pattern hadn't set in yet. And you won't know the average until the pattern set in. Like these areas that are above average, like for instance, California, it might have been cold in the first half. And then they say, well, look, it's cold and it's been cold this whole first half. So what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden it becomes extremely above average temperatures for the final half of the month. And then you come out slightly above average temperatures because of the pattern switch. So you really have to wait for the pattern to set in. Now, the slightly below average temperatures, I would have been better off pulling this pretty far north, keeping this up here. So it didn't really bust. I just had it in the wrong spot. And then above average, I think I nailed this part of the forecast. You guys would have to let me know as far as the temperatures in the east, but this is the September forecast. And let me hide that. Precipitation, I did bust on this part. It really wasn't above average precipitation here, I don't think. I think it was more in the central portions up in here. These areas maybe weren't as below average as I thought they would be. But, yeah, not too too shabby. And this was pretty good call. I think we got a lot of snow earlier in the month, and then not quite as much, and then we got a lot in these areas, obviously, as we move on to about now. And just because an area isn't in the blue doesn't mean that I said there was no chance of snow. I meant below 15% chance. So just because this portion of North Dakota got snow doesn't mean that I didn't call for that. I just said there was less than a 15% chance, and that was what happened. Now, I expect that with the October forecast, people are probably going to do something very similar when it's very cold in the West for the first 2 weeks. And you 51 people or 55 people that are watching this video, I want you guys to know so that you don't even go through the trouble of commenting on my video saying that my video busted, of noticing that the pattern won't fully set in until the second half, and you won't know until the end of the month. So it's really just not really necessary to call my forecast wrong before the month's even over, because everything will average out. Also, this, like I said, this cold is going to be mostly over Idaho for the first 2 weeks, and then it's going to be mostly over Ohio in the end of the month, and New England and everything. So what's really going to happen is it's going to average in between. The cold temperatures are going to, this is going to be the average location of the cold temperatures, because that's the transition. Now, above average, obviously, because it will be above average in the second half, far above average compared to how below average it'll be. And then I think the southeast ridge will just bring slight, because it'll be colder by the end of the month. That was a little bit of a rant there. I apologize. So when they're going to call it wrong at this point, but the pattern, you can see where it's almost starting to switch. And by this point, and I think that this is just, I don't agree with this. I agree more with something like this, but I think that it will be far colder. I think that this will dip in a lot more. I'm going to go back to the comments now. If you're a new viewer, make sure to leave a comment. If you want to ask me anything about the weather, make sure to subscribe if you do like stuff like this. Above average snow in Pennsylvania this winter? Yes, above average snowfall. How will it be in Hunter, New York? About 125 miles north of New York. Is that in the valley or is it in the mountains? I think that you'll have above average snowfall either way, though. Yeah, Israel. We look at, let's see, teleconnections. Oh boy, that's a big one. Of course, 1L. A lot of these words, you say them and you read them a lot, but you don't spell them out a lot. That's the real problem. PNA. Yeah. Dude, that's the real question. So the GFS shows the PNA going positive, far positive, around October 10th. The mean shows it go neutral and then negative again. So this will really prove to be the really important feature to see how that pans out. See, this goes neutral, GFS or AO, and then NAO stays positive. So AO there's a little bit negative here on the GFS. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the teleconnections for sure. Well, let's look at the bottom because this will have the further out forecast, it looks like. Yeah, likes to go positive. and then really go negative again. So it really just depends. It's going to be a work in progress on the pattern switching for sure. It's going to have to set in. So it'll be a battle. Sure. South Central specifically. Yeah, it'll all be above average, I'm pretty sure. Could you please tell me when Arkansas will cool down? Arkansas. Yeah, it might take a while just because you're so far south. I think that by October 25th, that's just the time I would put on it. I'm over this hot weather. I think we all are. Yeah, I think we all are for sure. It went from in the 60s and today was 85. LOL. Hope the humidity is done for the year in South Central Kentucky. Yeah, don't be so sure. I think that once this little bit of warm air comes up, you're going to be looking at a lot of precipitable water, a lot of moisture in the air, basically, with 70-degree dew points, 71-degree dew points, which is high. So the humidity would be pretty high right around then. Actually, that's a bit early, so it might even be higher. As the humidity stays high. So we're not really going to get a relief from the humidity until about the 16th, right around that cool down. That's when the humidity goes away too. So there's lots of good news after that point. Hi, what about North Carolina? For the winter, I think that North Carolina will have above average snowfall, especially in the western portion, and should be below average temperatures. Are you located in New York, New Jersey area? No, I'm not. Any insights into Hurricane Rosa and the moisture it's bringing into the Four Corners? Yeah, so it's going to bring a lot of moisture into the Four Corners, and we're going to have to see here. I think that it's really going to bring a lot of moisture here. Looks like mostly for Arizona. Yeah, mostly for Arizona. Also, Southern California is going to get in on some of that, and then Utah and Colorado. But right around, yeah, I think basically the whole Four Corners area is going to get a good washing for sure. Good relief. Let's really look. Yeah, could be up to 2 to 3 inches in some areas. So it'll be good news for those areas. 10.3 inches of rain this month, South Central Pennsylvania. Is that above your average? Seems like it. What time this month do you think that your November forecast will come out? And I think your September forecast in the east was correct, at least for New Jersey, but it was above average rainfall for here. Yeah, you have to look again at what I called for. Yeah, so maybe I should have extended this green a bit higher up, but can't really nitpick that. You did well in September forecast. I'll say 80-90% for temperatures. Thank you. How about Arkansas this winter? I think I already answered that. Or no, I didn't actually. I think it'll be below average temperatures with above average precipitation. Missouri, northwestern, you could be looking at early December and later December for the southern portions, maybe even into early January for the River Valley areas closer to the Mississippi, but it's already getting cold here in Michigan. Yeah, things are gonna get pretty cold, warm up a little bit, but the warm should stay pretty far south of you, thankfully. Is the weather going to be colder in southern Texas this year? I think that in southern Texas, yeah, going into this winter, yeah, really just depends. Western or eastern? Eastern, I'd say yes. Western, I'd say probably not. When could South Florida get its first cool down from a cold front? Could it be sometime in October? It could. It could, but I'd lean more towards November. It's 26.6 degrees Fahrenheit in UK. Wow. I'd be pleased if I got above average, if it got above 50 degrees here in Scotland. Yeah, so you got above average precipitation. Yeah, Israel, do you think that the above average, above normal temperatures in Atlantic Ocean will cause a lot of snow mixing and changing to mix for East Central New Jersey? Yeah, I think it's possible. You see a lot of influence there. I live on the coast, so I know. Obviously, a lot of mixing issues. That would definitely not help at all. Those temperatures have been cooling, so we're just gonna have to keep an eye on it. I think that they will still be slightly above average in the Atlantic right off the coast, but they've really been cooling. And right off the coast, really, if you get a cold December, those temperatures will already be pretty far down. If you get a really cold December and January, so February, you'll be in good shape most likely. Will Albany, New York get a cooler than average winter? Yes. Yes and yes. First snow for central South Jersey. I think that probably January, but it could be mid-December. I think December might be a little bit above average temperatures. You have to keep an eye on it though. So wait, when do you think that your November forecast will be out? Usually I do them like this. I try to do them like 3 days before the next month. So I'm gonna try to do it like just before. Few days. That's how you make sure it's as accurate as possible. Jim Presley, you do a great job with your forecasts. I really enjoy your channel. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's 50 to 55 degrees since the end of August with winds from Greenland. Yeah, that's rough, man. It's rough. Let's take a look at this cold air. It's always interesting looking at European weather. I'm so used to looking at the United States when I'm thinking about weather. So it's a nice switch up. Good news. By the third, you could be getting a little bit of a warm up. Then a cool down again. Then a warm up. Then a cool down. Well, that's just how it goes. But yeah, things stay really cold there since the ocean's to your west. I want Fahrenheit. Guess I won't get it. Awesome. Looking forward to more snow and colder temps. New subscriber here. Thank you, Wesley Poe, for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. I want to do more live streams like this, and I also make seasonal and monthly forecasts. You would probably enjoy those if you enjoy this, especially with the tropical activity going on in the Atlantic can cause upwelling and cooling. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it depends how far south the shark, but it's possible. I don't think in October. I don't even think in November really, but maybe by late November. But in the winter, I think it's possible. We only had 3 months of temps above 21 degrees Fahrenheit. The Weather Channel has been predicting slightly above average temperatures for October, including November. Yeah, the Weather Channel, their seasonal forecasts are usually a struggle. I don't even know what they called for, like in September. Yeah. Can't really disagree with this. Is this for this year? Can't even figure out what year this is for. Oh, 2015. 2015 to 2016. Oh boy, how that was wrong. Oh boy. Is this your first live stream, and how often do you plan on doing them? I do them whenever I feel like them. Usually, if there's like a hurricane, I might do it more. If you guys want me to do more, I certainly will. I just have to have like a topic that there's even a reason to. I don't want to do these for no reason, obviously. This isn't my first. This is like my fifth, maybe. I used to do them all the time when I was a lot younger. When there was a snowstorm coming, I would do like watch the models come in, the new model runs. So maybe that's something that I could do this winter as well. Cheers, Storm Chaser. Yeah, the Weather Channel isn't really reliable, in my opinion. Will San Antonio, Texas see snow again like last winter? It's always possible. In long range forecasts, you can't really forecast anomalies like that, like things that aren't very typical but are possible. So it's really just up in the air at this point. I think it's leaning towards more possible than normal years, but still the chance isn't really high. Will there be more snow in Michigan this year? If you're in the Great Lakes, like up against the Great Lakes where you get lake snow, then I'd say yes, like effect snow. Will there be more? How does October look? Yeah, you can check out my October forecast I just made. You can talk about the general patterns across the USA. Yeah, I'd like to do like weekly forecasts, so maybe that's how I could do my live streams. I live in Connecticut and plow in the winter. Can you start doing some more winter snow updates and forecast predictions? Possibly, yes. They get a lot of views, so I don't see why I wouldn't. The Weather Channel don't look at all the factors that you do they? I mean, they forecast based on certain programs / models and don't really go out of the box. This is what I've heard anyway. Yeah, so like for me, it's a whole process of breaking down a lot of things and then coming up with like the average that they would all show together. I think that they look more at they probably look at everything like I do, but they think other things are much more important than I do. And it's really just like priorities is really the big thing. Like they prioritize different factors than I do. That's probably what it is. That makes the forecast come out different. Like most forecasters emphasize ENSO a lot, which is El Nino and La Nina, the most. I tend to not, because that really just affects precipitation. So I let it affect my precipitation forecast because I know that that's what it really does affect. But temperature, it really just doesn't affect it as much as I think other people think it does. So yeah, it's really just how much you prioritize certain things. Tired of these warm temps. Yeah, it's been warm for a while now. Paul Ramirez, what does a typical week or moderate El Nino bring to the United States? And by the way, you're the most authentic meteorologist on YouTube. Thank you. I wouldn't consider myself a meteorologist, but I definitely am a weather enthusiast. I think a typical week to moderate El Nino would look something like this as far as temperatures go. Or maybe though we won't have a moderate El Nino, but I'm going to answer your question. So here's one take. But again, it doesn't really affect temperatures as much as it does precipitation. So really the biggest factor is above average precipitation for California and the southeastern United States through the East Coast possibly. But that's more variable. So certainly affects that the most. Cool, thanks. I'm off to bed. It's 11 p.m. here in North Scotland. See ya, Fred Blogs. I never see any big storms or of any kind in my area because of long well-known, decades-old Arkansas-only phenomena. I don't really know if that was a question or not. But Alaska is on the warm side of the jet stream. It will be warmer in Alaska at the moment? 20 more people need to hit like. Is there an analog year / years for the winter that would compare the forecast to? Yeah, I'll show you in a minute. I'll actually show you guys how I make analogs and everything in a second, just because a lot of people wonder. Being into weather myself for years, my new saying for this year is I forecast, I don't model cast. Yeah, that's a good saying. So it's cooler. I hope they will get on that aluminum and reflect some of the sunshine back out. Hi, new subber. I guess subscriber. Are you aware of the grand solar minimum? Apparently, decreased sunspot activity will mess up the seasons and bring much nastier and colder weather. Are you a believer in sunspot? Yeah, so here's the thing, right? I think that that's one of those things that people put too much emphasis on for sure. And I don't know if like, where do you guys, just out of curiosity, where do you guys hear that from? I feel like there's like 1 or 2 videos on YouTube that like literally everybody hears it from, and then it's like they obsess over it or something, because I've heard that so many times this winter, and I've never heard people talk about it as much as they do this year. It's always been a thing, but I've never heard people talk about it like they do this year. Now, I am aware, yeah, like I said, I am aware of grand solar minimum, and it does tend to really just bring colder winters for some reason. Well, not for some reason, we know the reason. So I think that people think that it affects it way too much. Like, it doesn't. It still can be a warm winter. That's the thing. It really can still be a cold winter or a warm winter. It's just it helps the odds of it being a cold winter. I don't think soon, Jared Peterson. I don't think it will snow in Arkansas soon. I think that you'll have to wait a couple months for sure. I want to see how long we've been streaming for. It's even possible. Oh, okay, about an hour. Interesting. Let's see. I follow an astro meteorologist on Facebook. He said her name Theodore White. He makes really detailed reports on it. Yeah, Jim Nelson. That's interesting. I feel like I've seen videos on YouTube too, but I don't really know. Agree with you. People look way too much into sunspots and models and don't pay enough attention to patterns. South Carolina, yeah, western portions could get snow this winter. Yeah, I think that like, well, to me, like the most important thing is really just what has been happening. Like, for instance, there's a lot of things like in a Mordecai El Nino. If the December is warm, on average, that tends to lead to a below average temperature winter. Like January and February would be really, really cold. And it's just something that always happens for some reason. And I think that history is the most important tool that we have as weather enthusiasts. I mean, it's right there. We can look at what's happened in the past, and it's the most important tool we have rather than models and all sorts of other stuff. It really depends what you mean by on the horizon. Melody, are you talking about this winter or like the coming weeks or October? I'd be happy to answer your question though, as I rant about long range forecasting. Also, I wanted to show you guys another thing. This is a bit more crazy, but a lot of people think that I make money on my videos. But if you look here, monetization, application submitted, and in review, it's been like this for like 3 months, and I don't really know what to do about it. I think that I've missed out on about $3,000 in my estimations. $3,000 that I could have made, but I didn't. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys. Um, that I don't make money on my videos, and I've really been upset about that for quite a while actually. Because sorry, I was right up against the mic because I was like killing a bug, but yeah. So monetization is not on. See, I meet both the requirements, but yeah. This winter. Yeah, so North Carolina, go back. Did you say Southport, North Carolina? I don't know exactly where that is, but all of North Carolina will have above average precipitation and below average temperatures. I like crazy weather, and I'm probably about to move to Arkansas. I spent decades in Oklahoma. You must not like thunderstorms that much, unless I'm wrong. I'm moving to New England. It's my dream place. In the GFS model on Tropical Tidbits, are you talking about the newest run? Yeah, you'll notice um, I have noticed that all of Canada gets covered. I mentioned this in my winter forecast. If you guys have watched that, that the snowpack will really start to like. As I click the one that doesn't show snow, maybe this. Maybe you can look at snowfall on this. No, you cannot. Fun. I know this one you can though. You'll notice that um, the snow really starts to build up, and a lot of this in the northern portions will be accumulated and will stay as the cold comes in. It's 52 in Michigan right now, and where I'm at is chilly, and it's been low 40s at night. Must be a good sign for a good winter, possibly. Yeah, it should be a freezing winter, like every other one. Bad storms don't hit any areas except for Arkansas. I doubt that's true. Okay. I do like thunderstorms. I hate high pressure ridges with a 1,000 times passion, and I love thunderstorms. That's why I want to move to Arkansas. New England. I want to move to New England. New Hampshire specifically. How many inches of snow do you think that Michigan will get this year? Can't really put a number on that, but more than normal is possible for sure. Real quick, I'm going to go check out my fantasy football league for answer more questions, but make sure to keep asking questions because I'll be back to answer all of them in just a second. Also going to look at the subscriber count. We're up over 5,100 subscribers. It's quite good. In the last 7 days, I've increased by 200. I'd like to thank all of you for that. I really just want to get a lot more reach because, you know, first off, it adds more accountability to my forecast. Like, more people, it's a lot more pressure, and I really enjoy having high pressure to be right. And once my channel gets monetized, obviously, then I might make money, which would be, I'd be able to spend more time doing this for everybody, which is my passion. So good. My fantasy football team is winning. The UK, we can get X hurricanes and thunderstorms. Interesting. The Cleveland Browns are winning again so far. Yeah, I like the Browns this year. Never thought I'd say that in my life, though. I've only been a football fan since like 2013, so they've never been good, like since I started watching. So it's really interesting. I've put up with being skipped for 2 decades by all the big weather, and that's fueling my desire to move to Arkansas. Probably you will move and then it will like reverse. That's how life is, kind of. Like you'll look back at Oklahoma and be like, man, they get all the storms. Do you think the Farmer's Almanac is at, at accurate most of the time? Um, I can't really say. I don't really pay attention to them. Their process of forecasting is just not like it's not very meteorological, so it doesn't really interest me as much. But I would be curious to see if it was right or not. Could North Carolina get crazy weather? Of course they can. Who are they playing? The Browns. I just subscribed to you. Thanks for the good weather predictions. I hope we do get more snow than normal in Michigan. Yeah, me too. That'd be fun. I'm wanting to move so I can see huge windstorms, severe thunderstorms. Hey man, chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. Raiders. Oh yeah, the Raiders are awful this year. What's the outlook for North Carolina? Well, if you haven't seen it, you could check out my winter forecast. I'm gonna be uploading a video too after this live stream. I'm gonna find something to upload a video about. I don't really know right now though. But there will be one. Just because I want to start, my channel's kind of been dead for a little bit, like 2 weeks, so I wanted to kind of like revive it a little bit, jumpstart it, because everything's gotten a bit quiet. Gary Rivard, I'm moving to Phoenix in February. Hope it will be warm. I'm sure it will be very warm. almost all of the time. That'll be good. Last minute questions, guys. I'm about to get off, so if you have any last minute questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Also, if you're just joining the live stream, make sure to subscribe. I do live streams like this. I want to do them more frequently too, and also I upload seasonal and monthly forecasts. I live next to the Interstate 30 in Central Arkansas. Most of the big thunderstorms follow the interstate northeast. Why is that? You know, it's kind of just geography and everything. That's usually where the dry line would be, just because that's where the humid air separates from the drier air. It's a lot goes into it. Analog for this winter. Oh yeah, forgot to do that. I will do that for you guys. Thanks, Chad Crawford, for the subscription. So this is the website where you would make an analog. First, I would analyze the sea surface temperatures for that year and then compare it to, this year's or current sea surface temperatures or forecasted sea surface temperatures for the target month. And then you would go to air temperature, surface, December to March. Well, December to February since that's the winter months. And you do enter the year of the last month. So for 2014 to 2015, you put 2015. I do anomaly, map projection, USA. Takes a minute to build it, but you will see that the temperature anomalies will come in. Never live in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Everything skips that area. I screwed with the spiritual realm there, and I got a severe storm in 2014. That's crazy, man. Chill out with that spiritual realm stuff. Be careful. But yeah, I live in Southeast Virginia, and it feels that way all the time. So I usually just find a way to be excited about the weather across the entire world or entire United States. That's why I make these forecasts. I keep hearing rumors, people saying that this 2018 to 2019 winter will be a repeat of the 76 to 79 winter, where snow went as far as the Bahamas. Could this be true? So, well, we'll take a look. I forget which one of these sea surface temperatures actually works. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. That was a big time whoops on the second one. So there was a Mordecai El Nino with a positive PDO. We also had colder temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean, which was not the case. This really looks like a cold setup. Not even lying. This looks like a really good setup for a winter. I know that the late 70s were all good winters, so yeah, that checks out a bit, barely. See, frigid. This is some of these late 70s winters are known as the coldest winters in United States history. So, well, recorded United States history. A lot of those colonial winters were also very cold. We don't really know to what extent, though. It's easy, 4 degrees below average, very frigid. Very cold stuff. Yeah, I can see the comparison. I don't think that it will be as cold, and I think that the cold will be centered a little bit more over here. I can see how this matches up, though. Now, really, this precipitation. Whoops. We will see if this matches up. And it doesn't. So that ends there. This matches up a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot about the 2009 to 2010 winner. I really don't like that one. Just because, like, every bit of everything within me that wants a cold winter, cold and snowy winter, wants that to be the analog year, but I just refuse because it really just doesn't look to be the same as far as sea surface temperatures go. Now, I get why people like it, but first off, we have above average temperatures here. Now, you'll notice that there's below average temperatures here and above average temperatures here. Well, there's below average temperatures here and above average temperatures there, so that's upside down, first off. Then there's below average temperatures here, well, medium, and then there's above average temperatures with colder in the Gulf, warmer in the Gulf. I can see how the North Pacific is below average, but really there's this huge warm pool here, and it's just not showing up there. We got warmer temperatures towards basically the entire El Nino region, but certainly not as Mordecai as this. This is a typical Mordecai El Nino. We certainly won't have a Mordecai that's shaped like that, and we won't have one as good as that either. But Pacific checks out a lot more than the Atlantic. I just don't see a lot of the I don't see a lot of the similarities that other people see. We got a lot of snow in 2009 to 2010, 4 feet right of it south, I think. Let's see. I was in the Christmas Eve blizzard in Oklahoma in 2009. Winds gusted 70 miles per hour. Wind chill were like negative 20. 1.5 feet of snow. Yeah, I got about 18 inches during that blizzard. Or I'm sorry, that's the wrong blizzard, actually. The blizzard I got was the year after that, the 2010 Christmas Eve blizzard. So very different. Anyway, guys, I'm going to head out. It's been really good chatting with you guys. North Carolina will stay warmer or cooler October, September. North Carolina is going to start to cool down in the second half of October, but the first half of October will continue to be warm. Anyway, I'll see you guys. It's been great chatting with you. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to. I do live streams like this, also seasonal and monthly forecasts, and I want to continue to do live streams like this a lot more. Yeah, I'll see you guys later.